And welcome everyone to the Circle the May podcast. It's the host of Devious One, Ivan C. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined by an incredible, fantastic guest that I have here today. Because this individual, he's not only just batting two belts, okay? He's batting two belts because he is the alpha baddie. He is also the bilingual baddie, porque él siempre puede, porque es J. Vidal, como siempre. Señoras y señores, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the FSW No Limit Champion and the PCW Ultra Lightweight Champion, and that is J. Vidal. How are you, Mr. Vidal?
I am doing fantastic. I can't complain. I am winning right now. Life is good. You know what? I said it November of last year. It was J season. J season has not slowed down any time in the past. I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. So I think we're on the best road possible. How are you doing?
Good. And you know what? You say that, what a fantastic journey you had, throughout your career. I know you started a couple of years ago, in the business, but everything went, it was, J. Vidal's season, from how you mentioned from last year, by winning the PCW Ultra Lightweight Championship and also winning the FSW No Limit Championship. So I know everybody asked this question very quick, but I just want to get it out of, here on the show for our viewers and subscribers and fans, if you could just, take us, through your journey, how it all began in your own words in breaking into the business of professional wrestling.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I actually remember I was living in sunny South Florida, Hollywood, Florida. I'm a Broward County boy, raised in Broward County, Florida. And I just woke up one day, man, and I was depressed. And I had no clue why I was so depressed. And then it hit me. I'm like, I'm not doing what I want to do with life. Like, I want to be a professional wrestler. I was 18 at the time. I was able to call up a school. They took me in. My earliest memory is going into the parking lot and seeing this big, white tattooed up vampire just like walking right in front of my car. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's Gangrel. Like I'm, marking out because I've never seen, like somebody who I grew up watching so up close. And I remember you could even ask him about this because he jokes about it all the time. I was pulling up. He was passing by here. It was kind of in like an alleyway, the suspect part of South Florida. And he looks right at me and he's like, I'm literally just eyes wide open. I'm like, oh my God. And he looks directly at me and says, the fuck are you looking at? Excuse my language. And,
TVMA, you can curse right here all the fuck you want. So there you go. I'm cursing too. So
yes. I love that. But yeah, so I was like, that was my earliest memory of wrestling. And yeah, as they say, the rest is history. He took me under his wing and trained me from the ground up, man. I'm super grateful for him too.
That's awesome. Man, and how is it actually, Gangrel, like with his students overall, like how he trains them? Is he really it's really tough how certain people will say that I know that's trained alongside with him. Because I know people from Knox Pro that have trained alongside with him too. He's come as a guest trainer and he's a tough ass. So I don't know, like how was he with you, like in your relationship with Gangrel throughout the training of your career?
Oh man, he was hard on us. He was really hard on us. Like he does not take no for an answer. Like you're gonna get it or you're gonna get it. It's gonna be one of the two. He when he believes in you, he goes the hardest on you. I think I'm super grateful that I went through that really hard experience. I call it very old school way of teaching, because new school, some people don't like to be taught like that. I think it's super necessary to be taught with that type of, aggression. He always said it himself. I remember I went to his wedding. Oh my God, what was that, like about 2 months ago? I went to his wedding down in South Florida and we were drinking and we were laughing and we were talking about it. Me, him, and actually Miro was over there too, which was really cool. And we all talked about his training and how hard he is. And he looked at us and, he said, yeah, but hey, I always knew if I could break you guys down in front of me, like right there at my school, when you stepped out there into the real world of wrestling, there's nothing nobody could do to you from then on because you'd have such thick skin.
That's awesome. That's great advice there too. And seeing your career, how you developed into Vidal itself. I mean, I know that prior you were kind of like a raver type, and then it was like, okay, wasn't my style. You switched it up. You became actually yourself, and which honestly, it intrigued myself, and that intrigues my other hosts as well. And we're such big fans because of the way how you work in the ring and how you represent yourself outside the ring as well. And you're honestly going to say right now, just get it out of my chest. You are an inspiration to, especially for the LGBTQ community. You are an inspiration for everyone, and and I commend you for what you're doing right now as we speak. And I'm saying that from the heart because you're kicking ass, and you're fucking killing it. So I commend you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Means the world, man. I'll tell you what. My first character was, I think, who I kind of was at the time. Whenever somebody brings up the Jaden Rhythm Raver character, I kind of try to turn the other way and be like, who's that again? If we're confronting those demons real quick, no, I was a raver and I used to party a lot, and I thought that's who I wanted to be in wrestling. I did always realize I never connected because what is when you go out there, you're like, yeah, I'm a raver, okay, and who is this connecting with? Who am I getting across to? And there would be times when I would, unfortunately, because of how deep I got into that party lifestyle, I would skip training or, skip shows to go to raves and festivals. And it was after Ultra 2018 where Gangrel actually sat me down and said, hey, I care for you, but you gotta get it together, because you got potential, but you're throwing it away. And that's when it really opened my eyes, like, whoa, here's this guy, who I literally grew up watching and admiring, and he's telling me that I have potential, so that I need to get my, my shit together. Yeah. And that's when I think that character actually really died. I mean, I carried it on for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years after that, but until I was able to fully show who Jay Vidal is, which is just really me turned up to 1,000. But in that point in time, man, that's when that whole raver character died. So I'm super, again, you'll probably hear me putting him over a million times during our podcast session here. But man, I'm grateful for Gangrel and everything that he's done for me.
I'm glad you had your second opportunity and actually develop and introduce to the whole world itself who Jay Vidal, who he really is, and I loved it and I enjoyed it. Don't trip. I was an EDC. I was a raver guy too. EDC. I will go a lot. Paul Van Dyke is still one of my favorites, so I still listen to Paul Van Dyke to this day, even like here and there. Like I go back to the old school days. Oh shit, it reminds me like 05, 06. Like those are the raver days that when I was a little bit younger. Like, fuck, man, those were the times, man. Those were the good times. I mean, and I see the new people now going. I'm like, the fuck is this? I'm like, okay, it's different for me, because I'm old school. You can say that's probably right.
Well, and I also think that we at least we're able to get it out of our system. That's the one good thing.
Yes.
Because I notice in wrestling, especially, people will get into wrestling young. Like I got into wrestling at 18. There's people will get into wrestling at like 16, 17. And then they won't really get to experience that party lifestyle. So when they become, 18, 19, 20, 21, they start partying midway through their wrestling, career and get sucked into that path. I'm glad that I've had all my crazy partying experiences from 18 to 20, just about 18, 20, 21, that now I'm just like, okay, that was great. If I were ever to, I think the last time I actually really went to a rave was late 2019, right before literally smack dab before 2020 and before everything shut down. I remember being in a rave and looking around and being like, man, this is fun, but I'm so over this,
Yeah.
So I'm glad, that, again, I went through it and, I'm glad to say I went through it, have all those great experiences, but now it's, now it's time to try to get my name out there in the big lights,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a phase that we all go through to our teenage years and early 20 years. I mean, yeah, we could say we can at least say we checked that bucket list off. So okay, at least we did that shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to ask as well. So how did you develop, and what was your influences of exposing, pretty much putting the Vidal on the market all over the world? So what, I know you grew up with attitude, I'm assuming, correct? Or what other, like, or ruthless aggression, or like what was your influences of developing Jay Vidal? What was the influences? Who were you watching most of the time when you were watching? I'm assuming like WWF or WCW or ECW during the time.
Oh wow. So fun fact, I almost clicked in my head to make this character come to life when it didn't even include wrestling. I was listening to a Nicki Minaj podcast, and I love rap music. I am a big like rap enthusiast, hip hop enthusiast, and female rap is one of those things I always think somebody who's in the LGBTQ community gravitates towards, because you don't have gay artists or, well-known gay artists, but you do have female artists, and, we connect with that femininity and, the power of that femininity there. So I always was a huge fan of Nicki Minaj, and I remember just like listening to her podcast, and I'm like, wow, like nobody there are LGBTQ talents out there at that time. You had Sunny Kiss, you had Jamie Senegal, you have Effie, but nobody's really doing a quote unquote gimmick like this. So I just said, hey, I go to clubs all the time. I was kind of like, raised. I like to say I was raised in clubs down in South Florida, because clubs over there are 18 and up. So you'd always go, they give you when you go in there, you'd have to have a wristband to drink, and you just walk in there and you go to the bathroom, you maybe find a wristband on the floor, put it on, and I can't get in trouble for it now. So, but like by 18, 19, 20, I'm usually over there, at clubs drinking down in Miami. But so, it really was me. So I said, I'm going to put this into a character, and I'm going to turn this up to 1,000. I'm going to start painting my nails. One, because, I think it expresses femininity in men, and two, because I wanted to start painting my nails too. I would even at the time I didn't have a car, so I would paint my nails and go on the bus. And I said, I'm going to get comfortable having nail polish on the bus, because this is who I'm going to be from now on. So, if I could get through crazy people on the bus looking at me crazy, I could get through any fan that's going to, maybe think a certain type of way about it. Yeah, and then I started studying a lot of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels always been one of my all-time favorites. And man, I went back to that, mid 90s, late 90s Shawn Michaels, and just studying and seeing how I could incorporate that into my character. I grew up in the ruthless aggression era more than the attitude era, but the attitude era will, I think, always have my heart.
That's awesome. That's great. And, and nothing wrong with this. A lot of people bash on the ruthless aggression era, but I mean, there were some certain great moments that happened to there. And then if it wasn't for like that, we wouldn't have the Cena's, Orton's, Batistas that we would have now to this day. Some people don't really understand that, and for me, the way how I feel about your character and how I see it from as a spectator, you do remind me of that flamboyant of Shawn Michaels. You have that on yourself. I could go back to old school. You have even a little bit of, Ravishing Rick Rude, a little bit on it. I can even say, hell, I'm gonna say, you were like for me, like even Val Venus too. You have that flamboyancy from all of them combined, and for me, it's awesome. And not only that, just your performance as well, how you develop your craft, and you scared a lot of shit, people, because like, oh shit, he's gonna fly from one place to another. Like, Jesus Christ. You have also like the mixture of Ricochet for me too, man. I tried it once. I got injured, not doing it again, but I commend you for doing all of what you've done. So talk to me about your first match. Was it a singles or was it a tag, or how was the first experience performing in front of a live crowd? I'm assuming, correct if I'm wrong, maybe like 100, 200, maybe a little bit more than that in front of, but audience. How was, was it stage fright? How How was the first feeling performing in front of a live crowd?
My first match. My first match was at the Hialeah Flea Market or I'm sorry, the Opelika Flea Market down in sunny South Florida. It was this nasty flea market. Bless it though. It has a lot of memories in my heart, but it was this nasty flea market, and I wrestled a one-on-one match with one of my trainers, East Coast cat named Jimmy Janetti. And Jimmy Janetti took such good care of me, man. He was great with he really understands professional wrestling and storytelling, and it was great to pick his brain. I had a one-on-one match with him, and I remember that he asked me, what do I want as a finish? He says, do you want me to beat you with the Michinoku driver or to beat you with the pile driver? And I got so excited. I'm like, pile driver, beat me with the pile driver. I want to say that there was maybe like 60 or 80 people there, if even that. Could have been 50, to be completely honest. To me, it felt like 1,000 people. Like I was just riding that high right there. It being my first match and it being in front of a live crowd, it was so awesome. Like, well, I'm living my dream here. But yeah, no, it was outside Opelika Flea Market. It was hot, but you know, I will never forget that.
Oh man, that's awesome. So after, I know that brief, you moved to Vegas as well, and were you training on? How's pretty much your involvement with Future Stars of Wrestling, and were you training on their facility as well when you moved to Vegas?
Yeah, so it got to a point down in South Florida where I just felt like I'm not really getting anywhere. I'm not getting where I want to be, and it has nothing to do with the training. I think it's just that wrestling is so spread out in Florida. Right. And there's really it's also very, at least at that time, was very oversaturated. So unless you really, really knew somebody, unless you really, really knew who was booking, it was hard for you to get booked on those shows. So I think I got bored of Florida too. Like I was I still had that influence of the raver friends and of the party friends. And I remember thinking to myself, I need to change. I need to move somewhere, and I need to start over and just focus on wrestling. So I talked it over with Gangrel. He was a little bit iffy about me moving to Vegas, only because he cares about me and he did not want me falling back into that, party lifestyle. But I rest assured him that, hey, I'm going to be okay. This is for wrestling. I'm moving over there for wrestling. So he hooked me up with SINN BODHI, who is a great dear friend of his. And Mr. SINN BODHI, he took me under his wing since I got out here to Vegas. And so I was, what was that? July of 2019 was when I literally just packed my bags and flew out here. I was going to try to take my car, but my car broke down maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to me moving out. So I told myself, if I use the car as an excuse to not move, I'm just going to stay stuck in Florida forever. So I'm just going to buy a plane ticket, pack as much stuff as I can, came with like 2 or 3 bags, and I literally just took a chance on myself and moved across the country. And that's when I met SINN BODHI at Future Stars of Wrestling. And he got me in, and he has an amazing mind for storytelling and for getting the most out of the smallest stuff, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
He could tell you he could teach you, I should say, how to work armbar for a whole match. Make it make sense and keep the crowd entertained during that. He's also one of the people that, when I was coming up with the J. Vidal character, helped me come up with small little aspects of the J. Vidal character. He would tell me, go look in the mirror. How would your character look when they're mad? How would they look when they're sad? How would they look when they're running away? When they're scared, when they want to fight, but they're scared to fight? Or when they're pretending that they, are actually about that life, but they're really scared, to be like, that heel, quote unquote. He taught me so much. I'm forever grateful for him as well. But yeah, that's about my involvement with Future Stars of Wrestling, and I'm glad to say that they gave me a really big chance, and they've been running with me ever since.
That's awesome. And also another thing for me that I was really happy, throughout your career as well, that your involvement with Impact as well. That was a fantastic, that you were actually on a major platform like Impact, being alongside with with Eric Young, Jonah, Rhino, name them all in the roster. But how was the environment there when you first showed up and when you got the call, like want to come down to Impact, and have a couple matches? How was the environment? How was the experience for the first time, like just being at a major platform like such as Impact?
Well, speaking of SINN BODHI, so SINN was one who gave me the call. I remember I was training, and I go and I check my phone because I was about to head out, and I had like a bunch of missed calls and a bunch of texts from SINN BODHI. He's like, "Hey, give me a call when you can." Gave him a call. He says, "D'Lo's looking for a guy for Eric Young, and I pitched your name. You know what I mean? Like, are you down to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm down to do it." So he gave me D'Lo's information. D'Lo and I have a nice little chat, and I show up to Impact, and it's like this nerve-wracking thing where I'm just dressed nice, but waiting, and you don't know if it's gonna happen or not because you don't know what happens until it happens, right? D'Lo finally comes over. He's like, "Mr. Vidal, come with me." And I was like, "Okay." Man, when I tell you that I will put over this locker room every day of the week, these people are amazing. Everybody there, from the head of media relations all the way down, everybody over there treated me with kindness and respect as though I was part of that locker room on my first day there. Like Trey Miguel is another one who was super, super nice. And I remember asking him like, "Hey, is it cool if I change here?" He's like, looked at me, he's like, "Man, the locker room's for everybody. Come over." And Rhino's another one, man. Rhino is just super kind and went out of his way to make sure that I was comfortable over there. I also had the honor of meeting, one of my childhood heroes, which is Mickey James.
Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing, and it's it was really an amazing experience over there at Impact. I am forever grateful for it. Scott Demore is another one who was really, really nice to me too. Yeah, man, it was great. It was like to me, I still watch it back, and even in that moment when I shared the ring with Eric Young when I was across the ring from him, I remember thinking, "Wow, this feels like I'm in a dream right now." And I don't know if you remember, but actually, the 2 nights prior to that, I was that was when I won the PCW Ultralight Championship.
that's right.
Two
And
nights prior to that.
back in October when you went on the Fatal 4-Way, and that was a
Yes.
fantastic match. We was going to get to. That was 2 nights before. So yeah, everything was just coming in all in one stone. Like everything was coming for you, and I was there in October, so I was rooting you on. I'm like, yes, I was happy that you won the belt, and I'm glad that PCW got in contact with you and got you involved with them. And how does it? And can you say at least, because that could be, or if you have something else, what can you say that has been so far your inspiring? Like, how can I say it? Trying to find the words. My apologies. You could say that's your highlight of your career as we speak right now, winning the PCW Ultra Lightweight Championship, or what has been like your highlight in your career so far currently.
That's tough because I think that you're only as good as your last match, as only as good as your last big appearance. So as grateful as I am for being on Impact, as grateful as I am for winning the PCW Ultralight Championship, as grateful as I am for, having the honor of beating Chris Bay for the FSW No Limits Championship, I think that the highlight of my career so far was being able to go to the Collective in Dallas and carry both those belts out there. And be able to raise both of them up and be like, yeah, that's an LGBTQ talent right there. That's representing two of the most prominent companies in the West Coast in
Hell
Future
yeah.
Stars of Wrestling and PCW Ultra.
Hell
And
yeah.
it's crazy going back to that day of PCW Ultra in October. Matt Vandergriff at the time was actually my roommate, and he's one of my best friends. Like, I still keep in contact with him to this day. He's living out in Orlando now, and the reason why I got on PCW was because of him, because PCW made a tweet. It was right after they announced Matt Vandergriff, and they said, "Who would you want to see in PCW Ultra?" So it was something along those lines, or for the ultralight, for the tournament for the ultralight championship, or whatever the case might have been. And Matt Vandergriff put my name on there, and within 10 minutes, I remember PCW contacted me back and said, hey, like, do you have any footage? I sent them my footage, and what I got in response was, after about 15 or 30 minutes, they said, thank you for your submission. And I said, well, that's a kind way to tell me tell me that they're not going to take me. Thank you for your submission. I was like, well, I guess, I guess that was that. All right. At least they asked for it. And a few weeks down the line, they ended up saying, we got something for this coming show. Would you be available for it? We don't know what it's going to be yet. We're thinking either a gauntlet or something of that sort. I'd never heard of the double shot duel. That was my first one. So when they did announce, I'm like, okay, these rules are really awesome. The last person gets to choose their tag partner, and once that match happens, they get to go one-on-one with each other. And yeah, man, it was something surreal to be a part of, and to have a company trust you. All they'd seen was tape. They hadn't really experienced Jay Vidal in person. All they'd seen, I'd sent them over numerous amount of tape, recorded a promo for them, and I'm forever grateful for PCW Ultra, because I feel like they really legitimized Jay Vidal in the eyes of a lot of people.
Absolutely, and they do, and they absolutely do. Which I'm going to ask, because you're going to have your first title defense, and you're facing Jack Cartwheel, and we already know about Cartwheel's credentials. So how are you prepared for this upcoming match coming on May 13th against Jack Cartwheel? I mean, he is an incredible talent, just like yourself. So how are you preparing for this match?
Man, lots of training. I'm watching his tape. I'm checking out every move that he does. I'm talking about, I was able to share the ring with Jack Cartwheel for a promotion over there in California once already, and I got a small feel for him because we only shared the ring for a little bit. I would literally want to say only maybe a minute, 2 minutes. I got a small feel for him. So from that small feel, I was able to implement that into training with my people who've trained in lucha, who've trained in that style of wrestling, and practicing his moves, seeing how I could reverse anything that he does from the top rope, that top rope finish that he does, the red arrow, that cartwheel into a elbow drop that he does into the ring. I am scouting everything that he's doing, and I'm making sure that I have a reversal for it, because that's what a champ does. A champ is ready for their opponent. It's when you get to the top of the mountain, that's when the real work begins, because that's when you have a target on your back. People think that, I remember I was talking to one of my close friends about this. People think that that's a gimmick, or that's quote unquote a work, right? That you have a target on your back. No, baby. When you carry a title, you legitimately have a target on your back, because every other professional wrestler who goes through those doors wants that title. But I have not defended that title yet. This will be my first title defense, May the 13th, Friday the 13th. It's a new beginning, but it's going to be the same result. It's going to be Jay Vidal on top. I don't plan on losing that title anytime soon. I'm going to carry it until I get signed. And who knows, even after I get signed, I might still carry that title if I feel like it.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Yes. I love it. I also wanted to mention, because you mentioned you wanted to wrestle Chris Bay, and you did. How was you finally had your dream come true? Beating Chris Bay for that FSW No Limit Championship. How was how was the experience, sharing the ring with Chris Bay, such an incredible talent like himself, and then you finally got it. So, and then not only that, winning as well. So how was that feeling? I'm pretty sure it was just wow. Like I was just like that was your. You could say I'm saying it for you, but I feel like that was like a moment right there. It's just like beating Chris Bay. So how was that experience?
So Chris Bay was on top of my list of people that I wanted to share a ring with, that I wanted to run a program with. I would tell him constantly, because I remember when I first moved out here to Vegas, I rode in a car with Chris Bay because he had an open spot in his car for a show that he was going to. And I remember asking, hey, could I ride with you? And this guy just put unlimited amounts of knowledge into me. And this was right before he got signed by Impact. And once he got signed, he started, of course, blowing up, as he should, because he's a star, man, and just an all-around great human being. So I'm super happy for him. And I remember just always thinking to myself, man, I know for a fact that I could hang with Bay, and I know that we could do something special together. Luckily, the stars just aligned to lead to that event for the New Year's show at Future Stars of Wrestling, to where he and I could share the ring. To me, man, that match meant the world, because I am big on manifestation. I think that if you put stuff out into the universe, of course, with hard work, because without hard work, you're never going to get there. You can't just, if not, you're just wishing. But
Right.
If you put it out there, if you, believe in it, meditate for it, pray for it, whatever you believe to be true for it, and then put in that hard work behind it, you can make anything come true. And I think that a year long of manifesting, I believe heavily that I manifested the PCW Ultra Light Championship. I believe that I manifested that SW No Limits Championship, and I believe that I manifested that match and that moment, and to end the year on such a high where, not only did I win the title, but I got the hug and the respect afterwards. And he and I shared a moment. A lot of people really don't notice. I had no clue that I was winning the belt. And that is a shoot right there. I had no clue that I was winning the belt. Like, once the pin came, the referee counted 3, and that shock look was the realest shock look that you'll get. Those tears were the realest tears that you will get. And that hug in that moment that he and I shared, where, he said something to me, which I'll keep to myself, and I said something to him, which, we'll just keep that to ourselves, because I think, that I think it was a bond shared at that moment that was special to the both of us, for our own reasons, man. But I'm grateful that I had it, and I hope to do it again on a, somewhere where the lights are brighter down the road.
Indeed, and you will. You will definitely. You will, and that's the case. Where will you choose? What venue will you choose, and who will you choose to face? If you're able to make your own dream match, and could possibly maybe it can happen. So where would it be, and who would you face?
Like right now, at this point in time, this version of Jay Vidal, you mean?
Absolutely.
So I had on this year, the top of my list was Effie, and I'm grateful that we were able to make that happen in Grab House, Las Vegas. Effie is a talent. Effie's helped me out a lot, man. So Effie, he helped put my name out there, getting me on the big gay brunches, getting me on that, on that radar of the LGBTQ community. So I'm grateful that match already happened. I think my top of my list right now is the Dark Sheik. She is such an amazing talent, has such a great brain for the business too. She's an amazing soul as well. I genuinely would love to face her any place, anywhere. She is on top of my list right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, I would love to see that. She is incredibly talented. That's for sure. And I would love to see that. You mentioned Effie as well, because Effie as well is a great inspiration for the LGBTQ community. How does it become about, you getting involved with GCW and with Effie? because he honestly for me he's one of the pioneers there for for GCW. And so, how was your involvement? How did you get involved with GCW and with FE? Being in those high platforms that the Big Gay Brunch, and the recent one in Dallas as well. I did see that one. That was phenomenal too. I did see that. It was really great. So how did it become all about?
Oh man! All right, so when I started doing this character, I got introduced. No, I'm sorry, I lied. There was a show in South Florida, Blueprint Pro Wrestling, and I helped set up the ring for that show with hopes of getting on it. I didn't get on it, but Effie was one of the wrestlers on that show. This was like 26. No, I want to say maybe like 2017, 2018-ish. And Effie, I remember just seeing this guy's tights that said "Daddy" on them. And I look at him and I'm like, "Are you Daddy?" And he says, "I am," and then walks away. And I was like, this guy was like, yeah, this thing's really freaking cool. I following him on Instagram, vice versa. I think he was able to see my growth to that J Vidal character. And the first Big Gay Brunch, I believe I was on the second one, and I could be wrong. It was our second or third one for Tampa Mania weekend. But prior to that, I tried to get on the other Big Gay Brunches. He does the booking along with Brett Lauderdale, so I just don't think that at that point there was a spot for me. But then finally I got on the one in Tampa with my ex-tag partner, Parada. And that's when I got introduced to Brett Lauderdale. But it was still, I kind of just went over there for a match that only lasted 2 minutes, but I was able to get to know people. I was able to gain the respect of the people in the ring with me, which was the most important thing, with Pero and his tag partner. And after that, the next Big Gay Brunch was coming around, which was Effie's Big Gay Brunch Chicago. And on that one, I just harassed Effie, like would message him literally like at the end of it started like at the beginning of every week and like end of every week. It'll be like Monday, Tuesday, "Hey Effie, like you got a spot for the Big Gay Brunch." Then the weekend would come, "Hey Effie, just double checking on the Big Gay Brunch." And luckily, after about 3 or 4 weeks, he got back to me and just said, "Yes, I'm talking with the promoter right now. I'll let you know." And then finally he said, "You're on." And I was like, yes, this is the time to show out. I've always been one to do, crazy stuff when there's a reason for it and when there's a big enough crowd for it. So I saw this big wall over there at the Big Gay Brunch, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to jump off that." And I did. And, something I think that the GCW and the PCW crowds have in common is that they're diehard fans.
Yeah, they are.
Give their all. I still to this day have not found a crowd like a GCW or a PCW Ultra crowd, because these crowds just give their energy to you, and it's crazy because when you're feeding off of that energy, you're able to give it back to them 10 times over. So yes, I did a Whisper in the Wind off a wall in a scramble match. I was put over in that scramble, and I talked to the promoter after that, to Brett Lauderdale, and he said, "What's your information? We'll see about getting you booked on LA shows." And I've been getting on their LA Fights shows as well as some GCW shows too. So yeah, it's good. It's good to know that I'm in that conversation now, that you look at the LA Fights, and Jay Vidal is one of the top people on there, and you look at PCW and Jay Vidal is the ultralight champion. These are two companies which I wanted to work for so long, and now I'm blessed enough to to be here and be doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad, especially for PCW. And what I want to see soon, I want to see you actually going for the PCW Heavyweight Championship. I want to see that happening.
Listen,
anything is possible, right?
Anything is possible. At the end of the day, anything is possible. I never turned down a challenge. I was able to share the ring with Hammerstone. Man, I was able to share the ring with him in 2021 at we were still the pandemic was still kind of like, still had everything pretty iffy, but he and I shared the ring in a small company in Arizona, and he actually put me over on Twitter after that. So, as he basically said, yeah, this kid can hang, go give him a follow.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I was running on 2 hours of sleep, so I was proud of myself for that. It was one of those like, wrestled the night before, got in a car the next morning, and then did a 4 hour drive, and then find out that you're wrestling Hammerstone. Oh, all right, let's do this. But amazing guy, tons of knowledge himself, just a star. You look at him and that's a star. That's somebody who I've been working hard on my body, honestly, because of him, because I want to be able to stand across the ring from him and say, hey, for me to be able to stand across the ring from him and for it to not look like such a difference, to not look like, a skeleton and, a monster. I wanted to at least look like David and Goliath more than anything else. But yeah, so that is definitely a goal, and I think it is a very achievable goal, at least to manifest a match like that. PCW is such a great place to learn too. Like the last time I was over there, in October, I remember Kevin Sullivan agented our match, and I'm over there. He talks about the smile that I had, man. The Sheik was right there, and so was Kevin Sullivan, and I remember just like looking at Sheik, and I just had like this big smile on my face when he was telling me, like the plans for the day, and Kevin Sullivan putting his input as well as what he thought should go on in the match and why it would make the most sense. I remember at first I was like, wow, man, like they're kind of cutting a lot of my moves out. Like my baby brain was thinking that like this is cutting my moves out. And I remember just a voice in the back of my head saying, dude, you're getting advice right now from Kevin Sullivan. Like you better shut your mouth and know that there is a reason why he's known as one of the greatest minds in the business. And once I did, and once I got, that the baby brain of indie wrestling ego out of my way and said, I'm going to listen to him, we did that match exactly how they helped put it together. And when it went out there and when it worked, that's, I think, when it clicked in my brain. Whoa, okay, less is more. Storytelling matters more than anything else. Don't get me wrong, you might see me in my matches, going a little over and beyond, but something that I always took away from that is storytelling above everything else in a match will always connect with the crowd, no matter how, bloodthirsty or hardcore type of fan base they might seem like. They will always appreciate storytelling, which I think is art form that is lost in wrestling. And I'm grateful to have guys like Kevin Sullivan, showing guys like us that are up and comers, hey, you could do your cool stuff, but this storytelling, this is always going to be the bread and butter of professional wrestling.
Yes, indeed. And you said it very well. Yes, absolutely. And speaking of keeping that body, that gorgeous body right there. So
Yeah.
I know you gotta have a cheat day. So talk to me. At least if you gotta have at least one meal that you're able to eat every day. What will that one meal be that you can eat every day?
Man, once a week I like to just get Pizza Hut. Once a week I need when I do need to do a cheat day, I get that Pizza Hut, man. Pizza Hut always does me well. This isn't really a cheat day one, but people will tell you that I love Panda Express.
Okay.
I probably should not be eating Panda Express before my matches, but like from time to time you might catch, you know what I mean? Just chunking down on some orange chicken and honey walnut shrimp. So yeah.
Well, what about wait, what's your nationality, by the way? You're Puerto Rican, right? Is that your nationality?
Sí,
What
sí,
about
sí.
what about Puerto Rican food? ¿Por qué la comida de puertorriqueña? ¿Por qué nada de eso?
I do. I love Puerto Rican food. Puerto Rican food has a special place in my heart. My only thing is you don't go. I love Panda Express, but if I wanted real Chinese food, real Chinese food, I would go to a real Chinese food place.
Yeah.
So my only thing is, I have not been able to find a place, at least over here in the West Coast, that gives real Puerto Rican food. You know, down in South Florida, that was way easier to find. In Puerto Rico, of course, you know, I got my grandma cooking.
Oh yeah.
My family cooking over there. So, you know, over there, you know, you're able to have the mofongo and that good Puerto Rican food. You're not able to really find that in the West Coast. If anybody knows any place, hey, you know, DM me and let me know and I might try it out.
Oh man, I'm looking for one too. So you're not the only one. I've been looking around here all over LA, you know, because I'm in LA. I'm like all over Koreatown, and you know they have different varieties in Koreatown. But I'm like, what about Puerto Rican food? I want to try Puerto Rican food as well. Never had the opportunity to try it. I've been dying to try it as well. I've been hearing so much good about it. I just love the culture as well. So I just can't. If I find it before you do, I will let you know. I will definitely let you know once you're out here in Cali. That's for sure.
Please do, please do.
Oh yeah, definitely I will. Now before I don't want to count the pandemic because the pandemic is it's bullshit. But prior to that, I know you were on the road before as well. That's if you do have a story if you're able to share. Has there anything funny ever happened down the road, before the pandemic or after?
Ooh, all right. Let me see. Let me think. Um, see if anything really, 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 really comes to mind. Man, I mean, not really. I promise you, a million stories will come into my head right after the the podcast is over.
It's all good.
But literally the biggest one that I could think about, like I always, for whatever reason, the ones that come to mind are just the nerve-wracking ones. You know what I mean? Like the wild ones. Like I remember, probably one of the quote unquote worst car rides over was actually to a show in Arizona where I was with Damien Drake and Matt Vandergrift. Damien Drake, who's such an amazing talent, by the way, and needs to be on a lot more people's radars. He and I actually we ended up driving 3 hours to find out that, so there's this going to Arizona from Vegas, there's this two-way street.
Yeah.
And on that two-way street, it goes on for miles. I want to say almost like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And there was a car accident, like right when we were getting towards the end of it, there was a car accident and it blocked off both the roads. And we're smack dab in the middle of nowhere and we are running late to the show as it is. So we literally had to like turn around and like go all the way over, dude. It was just such a nightmare.
Oh.
But like we're over there like calling the match and messaging the promoter. Luckily we got there on time. Nothing bad happened. But yeah, I mean, besides like the occasional, I can't think of anything right now. The occasional ribs, you know what I mean? Of course, those will always be a thing. Somebody's sleeping, you just slam on the brakes and then just wake them up. But nah, man, like you share so much. Something I always learned from SINN BODHI is that you share so much brotherhood, through those car trips. That's really when you get to know the people around you and the people that you never thought that you would connect with. You end up finding so much love with. I actually do got a story that came to mind now.
There we go.
Hold on. This was a good one too. Florida, No Peace Underground. I got booked for this deathmatch show. I didn't know it was a deathmatch show. I thought I just accepted a booking for an LGBTQ show. I love Pero to death. He's my, him and Effie, I call him my gay wrestling dads. I love you, Pero. He did not tell me it was a deathmatch show. So I got booked for this deathmatch show called Fear the Gay Agenda. Did it. Great show. At that time, Taya Valkyrie was signed to WWE. And her and some other NXT people came to that show. And they were standing up, up in the crowd, where they weren't seen or anything. And I remember meeting Taya there, and her and I became good friends. We end up going to a bar. I got bored at the bar. I don't do good in straight bars. Those are boring for me. So I said, hey, I don't know about you guys. I want to go to a gay bar. If y'all don't, that's cool. I think I'm going to because I'm in Orlando right now and I want to experience it. We end up going, you know, they were all down to do it. And we end up going to the gay bar. It's me, one of my other trainers over here, cheerleader Melissa, who was over there visiting, and Taya Valkyrie, Pero, and a few other indie wrestlers went over there. I go to the bathroom and I end up making out with this guy over there at in the bathroom of the gay club. Okay, you know, we make out, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Go back over to Taya and another wrestler by the name of Dylan McQueen, who's a great East Coast talent, and I hope the very best for him because that guy is gonna blow up once he gets the right eyes on him. So we're over there talking, and the guy that I just made out with walks over, like marches over, pushes Dylan McQueen out of the way, pushes Taya Valkyrie out the way, and starts making out with me. And I'm over here like the look of shock on her face, like what the fuck, you know, I got the worker mentality, right? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm looking like 3 steps ahead here. If I push him out the way right now and say, get away from me, that's going to cause a scene, right? And it's going to ruin the night for everybody. So I take one for the team. I turn him around. I keep making out with him. And I say my goodbyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like a gentleman. So
I love it.
literally every time that I see Taya, we always mention that story. That's another one who I would love to work at PCW. I think that match would be amazing. I'm just putting it out there. PCW higher ups, but I think me and Taya Valkyrie would have a killer match for the ages for PCW. Just putting it out there.
I think you guys would. I would definitely. Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do some calls. I think I'm gonna have to. That's awesome, man. I love it. I love it. Now, last question here. If any upcoming people that will actually want to pursue this career, and you know, especially being in the LGBTQ community, what would be the best advice you could give them, especially if they want to pursue this career in professional wrestling?
I think that the best advice that I could give anybody, especially in the LGBTQ community now coming up, is be yourself. Be yourself because you can't be anybody else and nobody else could be you. You could try to imitate this person, but they're already themselves and they are thriving because they are themselves. So be yourself, whatever that may mean. You know, if whatever ideas, as crazy as they might sound to other people, bring them to life. I remember when I started doing this this character, when I started being J Vidal, I was told by a lot of people that it would not work. I was told by a lot of people that, you know, that there's not a place in wrestling for gay talent, and if there is, he'll be treated like a quote unquote like a Rico, you know, in mid 2000s WWE, you know, where they will just be a comedy act. And you know, just be who you want to be in this business. Be who you want to be remembered as, and go all out. You know, Gangrel always told me, and I always keep this to heart, you're either all in or you're all out. There's no in between. You know, if you're not giving it your all, you're all out. Train hard and strive to be the very best. Don't look at anybody else as competition. I don't look around and see competition. I look around and see my peers. I look around and see people that inspire me. My only competition is in the mirror every morning. That's it. That's my only competition. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday.
Wise words. Love it. Great words of wisdom from you. But and I know you got a busy schedule. You're a workhorse, by the way. I'm looking at your schedule. I mean, you're performing Friday at FSW. You're fighting Eli Everfly, and then you have actually. Well, that happened last week, right? That was last week, right? Okay.
Yes.
Last week. I'm looking at the dates wrong. And then
I'm very big on staying busy. I'm very big on building the brand. I think one of the best things I've been able to do, because due to unforeseen circumstances, right? PCW has not been able to run, and I was supposed to defend my title for the first time in December for PCW Ultra, but I ended up catching COVID, and
That was
it
for the
was
old fashioned wrestling show where we were. I was there as well. You were supposed to face Kevin Blackwood, and I was
Kevin
looking
Black,
for.
who's such an amazing talent. I was able to work him down the line, luckily. But such an amazing talent. He's blowing up, which I'm so happy for him that he is, because he deserves it. He's such. You talk about an amazing person, amazing talent. That's Kevin Blackwood. I can't put him over enough. I was supposed to work him, and that morning I was feeling really sick, and I got a text from one of my wrestling friends, and they said, "Hey, I just found out I have COVID. Want to let you know." My flight was at like 1 p.m. and I got that text at like 11 in the morning after getting out the shower, or I was like 10 in the morning after getting out the shower, and I was getting ready to head to the airport. And I remember going to buy one of the one of the quick tests, and yeah, long story short, I ended up finding out I had COVID, which sucked because I was supposed to work Blackwood that match. Titus Alexander, who I just worked this past weekend, amazing talent in his own right. I was supposed to work him, and then the week after that, I was supposed to have Davey Richards in a fatal 4-way match.
Yes.
But unfortunately, everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. So I wasn't able to work, defend my PCW Ultralight Championship, but I'm big on branding regardless. So I'm out there, I'm putting in the work, I'm hot, and I'm staying hot by working these other companies and representing myself as the proud PCW Ultralight champion.
That is right, because on May 13th, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, for all you SoCal Pro Wrestling fans, purchase your tickets. Make sure the description is right below. You want to see, of course, the Alpha Baddie right here defending the PCW Ultra Lightweight Championship against Jack Harvey, because that match is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward. And before I let you go, Mr. Vidal, I just want to go ahead and thank you very much for taking the opportunity to come on the show today. And you're welcome anytime back. Well, I'd love to have you back, especially, having you back again, having that belt, having you back again, maybe with the PCW Heavyweight Championship maybe soon. You never know.
Hey, you never know. You know what? I'll tell you what. I am so confident. I'm so confident in my abilities. I'm so confident in my training. I'm so confident in my skills to say that Jack Cartwheel will give me a hell of a fight. I will never take anything away from him because he is an absolute star. But baby, where there's a star, there's always a star that shines brighter. And that star that shines brighter is Jay Vidal. And I promise you, at the end of May 13th, I'm just going to be looking around. Well, that announcer says, and still PCW Ultralight champion. So you know what? Why not have me on the show after I defend my title?
Absolutely will do. And so we could also let the people know, where can they find you? Let the people know, where can they find Jay Vidal on social media?
All my ats are at the Jay Vidal. That's the JAIVIDAL. That is on Facebook. That is on Instagram. That is on Twitter. You know what? I don't post often on TikTok, but if you want to tag me in some funny TikToks, that's my TikTok too.
I love it. I love it. And the description right below will be all his social media platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Mr. Jay Vidal, gracias por todo, por estar aquí con nosotros en Cerco Debate. Y te agradezco mucho con todo y te voy a apoyar, y ya sabes que voy a estar soportándolo también. Gracias por todo lo que haces por la comunidad también, especialmente. Y te apoyamos aquí también, que hablamos español, not only just English.
Gracias. No, te lo agradezco de verdad, gracias. Ya tú sabes, hay que representar.
Yes, exactamente. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget, SoCal Pro Wrestling fans, buy your tickets. Buy your tickets because you don't want to miss this event, this epic event, PCW Ultra May 13th, a new beginning, because it's going to be a new beginning with Jay Vidal. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.